Turning now to our next speaker is Tatiana Lahera Kalainoff. She's a freelance data viz designer and artist. She's a multidisciplinary mixed-race designer and data visualization artist based in Brooklyn, New York. She holds degrees in architecture and data visualization and believes information is power, but has little to no value without context and a compelling story. Her work investigates the intersection of data, design, technology, storytelling, and fabrication with a focus on equitable access to information, demystifying bureaucratic processes, and providing opportunities for underrepresented voices to be heard. Please welcome Tatiana to the stage.
I'm just going to jump right into it. The use of 3D elements in data viz has historically been rejected as a useful approach, seen as noise and a distraction from a visualization's key message, a negative disruption to a user's interaction with a piece. And generally, this rings true. But what if we've overlooked this approach's positive potential? What if the true effectiveness has never been reached due to data sets that were just not quite right for it? What if 3D elements could enhance a viz instead of distracting? What was once seen as a negative could actually be quite positive. In digital data viz like maps and charts from the New York Times, Bloomberg, and Washington Post, users are often able to toggle and filter based on their personal interests or how the data may directly impact them. But in reality, the heavy lifting of translation, critical thinking, and analysis falls on the reporters, designers, and developers. We invite people to interact online, but how engaged are they really? Like this quote suggests, as data viz practitioners, we need to be aware of the decline in people's attention spans now more than ever. In the podcast long form, where this quote is from, Mona also references the term bouncers, defined as readers who jump off the page in less than 3 seconds. I've been up here for more than 3 seconds, and I hope I haven't lost too many of you yet. She goes on to say that she spends a lot of time thinking about how can she get you to look, to want to look, and to stay looking. Most data physicalizations end up being large-scale art installations that people want to look at because they're beautiful. But after going through all the trouble of building something physical, why aren't users encouraged to touch and play with what's been built? Why not design it so that touch and play actually support understanding? Why not design it not just for interactivity, but for true engagement, where users are considered equal and active participants in their learning and understanding, not just someone who moves the toggle? While data viz can be a refreshing break from our lives glued to screens, it also has the potential to make data less scary through play and empower users through physical touch. In this talk, I'll share one of my projects that puts this idea to the test. But first, a bit about me. In many ways, my life has always been about boxes. Boxes like these from my childhood, moving around as a third culture kid and living in countries that were different from the places my parents are from. These boxes from my time in architecture school, where I had full agency of what they represented and what they were communicating. Now, a lot of my life is about these boxes, since graduating with my master's in data visualization from Parsons. But really what brought me to data viz were these boxes I faced growing up, asking to put me, a mixed-race woman, into a neat little box. Most recently, my life has been about these boxes, from my recent public exhibit called Rezoning at What Cost? This project pushes the boundaries of data physicalization beyond just making something beautiful and asks people to dig a little deeper. It was created as part of New York City's Open Data Week this past March for a group exhibition called Aftermath, organized by Data Through Design. Rezoning at what cost engages users as equally active participants, with the goal of increasing equitable access to information and encouraging people to form their own understanding of previously abstract, intangible data. Data that could impact their everyday lives. The Brooklyn neighborhood of Gowanus has undergone massive changes due to the approval of the neighborhood's rezoning in November 2021. Over these 2 years, many buildings have been demolished and numerous pits have been excavated to make way for 40 new residential structures. The neighborhood has become unrecognizable, a sea of cranes and shiny new glass buildings. The future landscape of Gowanus serves as just one example of the aftermath that more New York City neighborhoods are currently or likely to be facing soon. The interactive physical map of Gowanus in the project represents a future snapshot, with all residential buildings currently permitted for construction since the rezoning. Each residential building consists of laser-cut acrylic floors, with colors depicting percentages of market rate and affordable housing, as well as commercial spaces and senior housing. Each building forms a 100% stacked bar chart, scaled to the building's height and shaped to the building's form. Users can tangibly interact with the data by removing floors from buildings and rearranging them for their own personal exploration. The map brings to life 2 overlapping New York City open data sets. The housing database, where I was able to filter construction permits filed since the rezoning was approved, and the affordable housing production by building that I cross-referenced in order to find the breakdown of affordable housing unit types. These data sets produce 2 types of bar representations. Very briefly, I want to give a peek into the process and how a seemingly simple concept to go from stacked bar chart to 100% stacked bar chart to 100% stacked bar chart scaled to the height of the building was actually quite messy. This project was a great reminder for me that the data will always be messy in some way, shape, or form. And even though I had my mind set on doing it in a high-tech, sleek, and automated way, the reality was that it was easier for me to get my hands dirty and do it all manually, which included building out each building axonometrically in the Z direction and laterally in the X direction to create laser cutting files of all the pieces to play with. In addition to this, there was an extensive verification process of each building, and if you want to learn more about that, you should come find me later. Beyond the map, contextual info can be found in an accompanying zine breaking down vocab about affordable housing and its connection to rezoning. It's hard to have meaningful conversations if participants aren't on the same page about language. The zine also serves as a worksheet to help users discover how they may or may not fit within the New York City affordable housing system. Lastly, users are encouraged to fill out reflective question cards about their experience and their thoughts on the future of rezoning and affordable housing, an outlet to reflect collectively. The cards are displayed as a grid behind the map. Public policy is often challenging to decipher and remains hidden from the people it impacts the most. Rezoning at what cost transforms previously incomprehensible data into physical form, while also providing necessary spatial context to truly understand the data's implications. Users can explore and learn about the data themselves, coming to their own understanding about what it all means and how they feel about it. By inviting users to engage with a physical representation of the data, we begin to rebuild a connection between people and policy, with the hope of having meaningful dialogue across differences. From policymakers, community board members, to students, activists, organizers, past, current, or future residents, social change starts with authentic conversations and the goal of listening to understand. Data physicalization can be part of that change by empowering its users to have the confidence and courage to not just interact, but truly engage, and decide for themselves what it all means. Thank you.